Friday. I hope you had a productive week and managed to achieve your set goals. But if you didn't, don't give up because you still have life and a chance to still achieve those goals. The Ghana Premier League is entering a new season and many are excited. Many football fans are excited about it. The Accra Hearts of Folk fans, for instance, are looking forward to dominating the league as champions. The prizes at stake in the league, though, is an issue. The winner of the league will be getting 250,000 Ghana cedis, or a little over $40,000, and 40 medals, and a trophy that many feel is not rewarding enough. We'll have a much broader conversation on that on the AM show, and we'll be asking your opinion as well. Now, also on the show, it's Relationship Friday, and we ask a very simple question. Is love enough? Many say love conquers everything, and we also have those who say there should be many other ingredients to make a relationship work, with money being very crucial. We have a story from a woman who says love is not enough, and so she divorced her husband. We have a counselor on the show, and Ochame Kwame will join us for this interesting conversation. We have a whole lot more coming up. You know, the Habitat Fair, the EcoBank Journeys Habitat Fair has opened at the Accra International Conference Center, and so we'll be telling you about that as well. There's the news review and a whole lot more. I'll be doing this with Enimwa Enimado, the adorable. My name is Israel Aye. Have a good morning.
Hello there, good morning and welcome to the AM News here on the AM Show. My name is Enimwa Enimado. Let's get to our first story. A simple quarrel with a neighbor resulted in a serious allegation that she's a witch. Although a ritual declared her not guilty of being a witch, her accuser still chopped off her hand and fled. This is the story of Asibi Dut, a woman in the Northeast region who is pleading with the Ghana Police Service to give her justice. Jojo Kobna brings you a snippet of his latest documentary, Finding the Witch Hunters.
Picked a quarrel with me, and her son accused me of being a witch. Later, the people in the village took me to the Gambaga witch camp. They performed rituals which showed I was not a witch. So I came back to the village. The boy came to attack me at home. He was aiming for my neck, but I blocked it with my hand and he chopped it off. He fled, and to date, the police say they can't find him. I was home alone. I was cooking when someone charged at me. He was aiming for my neck, but I saw it fast enough and instinctively blocked it with my hand. So my hand got chopped off.
That is the story of Asibi Dut, a 40-year-old woman who is a resident of Sakogu in the Northeast region of Ghana. For the past 8 years, she has been living without one hand. Her woes started when a young man accused her of being a witch. Asibi said a lady in her community picked a quarrel with her, and subsequently, the lady's son accused her of being a witch. Asibi took the accusation lightly, but realized the seriousness of the allegation when people in the community sent her to the witch camp in Gambaga to test whether she was a witch or not. The way a chicken died would determine her fate and the entire course of her life. In northern Ghana, when you are accused of witchcraft, you have to bear the full cost of the ritual. So Asibi took care of the full cost, and the ritual confirmed that she was not guilty.
I was scared of witchcraft allegations. The fowl said I was not guilty. The chief then asked me to go back to Sakogu and ordered that we use dialogue to settle our differences.
Asibi, who was 8 months pregnant, said she thought she was free, but the young man had other plans.
I was home alone. I was cooking when someone charged at me. He was aiming for my neck. He tried to cut it off with a machete, but I saw it fast enough and instinctively blocked it with my hand. So my hand got chopped off. He then fled. To date, the police say they can't find him.
Asibi was left broken.
As soon as we say you are a witch, even small children can beat you. They can do anything to you, nobody cares.
She had now mastered ways of living independently and taking care of her son. Her husband also traveled to southern Ghana and never gets in touch with her. She feels pains when the remaining hand is not covered. She cooks and does many other chores with one hand. She feels the young man who chopped off her hand had stolen her joy in life.
I am really pained. I am hurt. Now I can't do anything. And the boy who did this to me is free.
Asibi is yearning for two things: money to start her own business, and also for the police to track down the perpetrator, who is still on the run.
His is a job that many scoff at, but one that all of us cannot live without. Joseph Asitanga has led the burial of more than 500 human beings killed by COVID-19 in Ghana in 1 year. From difficult backgrounds, growing in one of Ghana's remotest places, Asitanga says he was born for this. Joy News' Justice Beidou spent a day with him, picking and burying COVID-19 victims. Here's his report.
I'm the only person at that time in my family who had access to education.
Joseph Asitanga's name means rock in Kusal, his native language spoken in the Upper East regional town of Zabila, where he comes from.
Asitanga is a name, when you are given, it's more like a courageous spirit in you. Wherever there are people and I'm there, if I get there, the environment changes. That is the strength, the courage, the spirit of enthusiasm to do the thing somebody cannot do.
He heads the team of environmental health workers who bury people killed by COVID-19. His workstation is in Accra, the epicenter of the pandemic in Ghana. More than half of all deaths from the pandemic have happened here.
I stood in front of a COVID patient. You see yourself sweating, breathing become an issue on you. You are sweating and struggling with your bed. I think we have buried more than 400 bodies in Awudome Cemetery here. If everybody is afraid, who would have worked at the mortuary? We are all afraid. Our departed relatives are in the mortuary and we all fear. Who would have gone for the bodies to go and bury for you? This is my private car. I'm not supposed to use it for this exercise. But because of commitment to the job, if I don't come, the bodies will be there. And nobody will understand why. So I have to sacrifice my own private car to augment what the only pickup that we have with the assembly.
Over 1,000 Ghanaians have died from COVID-19 after more than 100,000 infections. Joseph wants his work to be a constant reminder that COVID-19 is real and kills.
When we come in, why we use the siren at its higher peak is another form of educating and sensitizing the public that what sort of body is AMA carrying, and they are blowing the siren like that. So the moment you turn to the car, you see my people, hey, this is COVID, corona, and they start running away. So they get back, they also tell their people that, hey, the COVID today, I saw the corona people, they call me corona man.
COVID was a pandemic that tore the world apart. But for Asitanga, it did also put him in a global spotlight. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Accra.
Now, heaps of garbage have taken over the Tamale Teaching Hospital after 3 days of the ongoing strike by the Health Service Workers Association. The various wards are unkempt, washrooms stinking with urine, creating an unpleasant smell at the facility. Martina Bugri has more for us in this report.
From the entrance of the hospital to the corridors of the various consulting rooms and the compound of the entire TTH looks as if the place has not been cleaned for ages. Stench from the drains laced with algae and maggot has taken over the hospital, making it difficult for patients and caregivers to breathe. There is filth eventually everywhere, with the environment in a total mess. Madam Aisha says her father has been on admission for 3 days and she's unable to step into the washroom. She says one can easily pick infections from these washrooms. The sanitation situation in the hospital is so terrible. Somebody can just go and urinate and pour her white down, and you will also go and urinate there and pick infections. When you look at the gutters, it's filled with maggot and flies. The whole place is in a terrible situation. What we are asking is that they come back just for our sake. We are pleading with them for God's sake, they should return back to work. Another caregiver says the entire place is a total mess. For patients, they would have to bear with it and so have to be cleaned instead of bathing.
The entire place is a mess because the caretakers have all gone. Sometimes it is the women who sell things here that pick the rubbish on the compound. We can't talk about them. They are in a terrible shape and dirty. What we are doing now is to clean the patients. They can't use the washrooms to bath because of how bad the washrooms are.
Earlier in the day, the public relations officer of the TT described the situation as total mess and a breakdown of activities at the facility. The patients and caregivers appeal to government to listen to the concerns raised by the health workers and address them to enable them return back to work. For Joy News, Martina Bugri reported.
The Volta caucus in Parliament is calling on the National House of Chiefs to compel President Akufo-Addo to render an unqualified apology to the Paramount Chief of Aflao, Toby Ajongaga Amenya Fiti, over his response to the concerns raised by the chief. The president, while addressing the Aflao's chief concern about the abandoned e-block project in his area, observed that if the chief is frustrated about the delay of the project, he should go and complete it. But in the view of the minority, the comment is an attack on the chieftaincy institution. The NDC MPs, who say they are under pressure from their constituents, insist drastic measures would be taken against the president if he fails to render the apology. Here's MP for North Tongu, Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa, who spoke to the media.
Fiti the fifth is not the first chief to be raising legitimate concerns about this culture of abandoned projects. Why is it that he is the only chief to be responded to in this manner? So we are all in solidarity with our dear colleague from the Ketu South constituency. We are considering our options. You have asked about what next if the president refuses to apologize. We have seen the president apologize to the good people of the central region. If he thinks that as for the Volta region, you can malign our chiefs, lampoon them, discriminate against them, descend on them in such a disrespectful and disdainful manner, and you will refuse to retract and apologize, be rest assured, as a caucus, we will consider what the response from the president will be, and we will decide on our next steps, which we will duly communicate to you. So be rest assured that this matter is not ending here. And you can imagine the pressure we are under from the chiefs and people of the Volta region to ensure that the president does what is right and accords the people of the Volta region and indeed the chieftaincy institution, this matter, as our dear colleague has said, quoting from UNESCO all the way to our constitution and our cultural policy, it is clear that this is an affront, it is an attack on the chieftaincy institution generally. And we expect even the National House of Chiefs to take a serious view of this matter, because many chiefs are going to continue to be partners in development. They will offer their land. They will speak on behalf of their people as custodians of our traditions and our heritage. They will speak to the development in their various jurisdictions. And we cannot expect this kind of response from political leadership.
Meanwhile, the Ketu South MP, Ablaji Fagomashi, says the minority will begin raising funds for the completion of the project.
The respected traditional ruler merely advocated for an abandoned E-block in his community to be completed so his people will have fair access to education. As citizens and bona fide taxpayers, that wasn't too much to ask. Togbi Ajongaga Amanyafiti V, Daho, of the Aflau traditional area, deserves praise for prioritizing education and speaking out against the culture of abandoning inherited projects. He does not deserve such disrespect from the President of the Republic of Ghana. The President's conduct, which we do not see him exhibit against chiefs from other parts of the country, is a total affront to the entire Volta region and the Aflau traditional area in particular. We demand a retraction and apology from His Excellency the President. A united Ghana with a common destiny is undermined by such reckless and discriminatory conduct of the President. Going forward, I will be launching a GoFundMe account for donations to finish the E-block as instructed by the President's infamous retort, and I entreat all Aflauvio and well-meaning Ghanaians to donate generously.
The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is finally here. With so many attractive deals for prospective homeowners, the 80 exhibitors at the Accra International Conference Center have promised to aid patrons to choose for a variety of land, homes, and accessories available. Hannah Odame was at the opening ceremony and reports.
The debates to either buy or build will definitely be settled here at the Accra International Conference Center in the next 5 days, all because exhibitors are poised to give you the best. For instance, Isaac tells me that Lakeside Estate has something good for you.
Regardless of the amount of money inside your pocket, you can purchase a house at Lakeside Estate.
Somebody is budgeting right now as they listen to you. Give the person an approximate amount that he or she should be saving towards to be able to purchase a home from Lakeside.
At Lakeside Estate, as you are saving towards, I am giving you a house not more than 400,000 Ghana cedis at Lakeside Estate.
If you want to build, you definitely need paint.
At Lakeside Estate, as you are saving towards, I am giving you a house not more than 400,000 Ghana cedis at Lakeside Estate.
If you want to build, you definitely need paint, and PyTech International will definitely help you out. I have with me here the operations manager, Adams, to tell us the varieties that he has available.
We have acrylic paint and then other paint products like wall putty for your wall to help protect your wall against dampness, and then other paint from falling off as well.
after you have built, you definitely need your lights. And I am here with the operations manager as well.
With global lighting, we deal in household lighting. We also deal with commercial and industrial lighting as well. Anything lighting, we got you covered.
You should come and buy from us because we have affordable and we have quality furnitures. You come to us, you choose your style, then we produce for you.
Yes, and of course, I definitely have to try it. I mean, how comfortable it is. You would love to really, really sleep on such a bed.
These doors have a solid system which comes with 14 central locking system.
It's running from today to the 1st of November 2021 at the Accra International Conference Center. There are lots of discounts available here, lots of options to choose from. Please come to this venue. Don't miss out because you need to be a homeowner. From the Accra International Conference Center, where the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is taking place, my name is Hannah Odame for Joy News.
All right, well, it's a wrap here on the AM News. But the AM show continues right after this. Stay tuned in.
So, what's happening with their career and all of that?
Oh, I haven't never heard anything from her.
Yeah, but Ochiame Kwame, I'd say, is one of those musicians who has stayed very relevant.
Of course.
For a really long time.
He's still relevant.
I'm saying he has stayed
very
relevant.
I thought you said he stayed.
Yeah,
I mean, more recently with his book.
For a really,
yeah, he stayed relevant for a really long time.
Yeah,
I think it's all about, rebranding, reinventing. Yeah. I think that's one of the things that we struggle with a lot as we grow older.
Anyway, and he's joining us on the show later today to talk about that relationship issue. Is love enough? Is love enough?
I don't know, because our love is not really working. Neither is the love between you and Hearts of Hope, so I don't really know.
Let's get into the newspapers.
Yes, please. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so on the front page of the Daily Graphic, there's this photo. That's it says so much. It says the headline is "Increased Investment in Mental Care." That's a CSO saying that. But it's a photo for me. So the photo is going to come up on your screens in a bit. But it features a woman, presumably, who has mental issues, who has a child. And she's tied the baby to her leg so that the baby, as she's sleeping, the baby won't go away. So that's it. So you see that the woman is lying down. I suppose she's sleeping. And then the baby is wandering off. But there's a cloth tied to the baby's waist, in which the mother is holding on to, or maybe tied to, so the baby can't go away. That's quite a photo. But yes, you see these things across the country. I mean, especially in the city, where you see a lot of mental patients or people who are mentally unstable who are out there on the streets. And these days, I mean, talking about mental health, there's something we should draw attention to. Apparently, there are people parading as, they being mental, and yet they are sane and they're criminals and they're attacking people. You've heard that? Yeah, I have. I'm very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. So yeah, but so this CSO is saying that the CSO is called Ghana Sumubi Jumedie. That's they're saying that government should increase investment in mental health. Okay, so that's the main story on the front page of the Daily Graphic. Okay, so moving on page 6, Sudan Army sacks 6, condemnation grows. It's about the coup in Sudan. South Africa gears up for hotly contested local elections. Then NDC balls on page 7. NDC balls as Dufour drops hat in the ring. And the article by Enimila Shong, he's suggesting that there are 3 announcements so far about people interested in the NDC flag bearership race. It says John Mahama says last weekend in the Volta region, he indicated that, I don't quite recall if John Mahama has come out to say that yes, he's in the race. But yes, he may have said something suggesting that he is in the race. Kojo Bonsu, he also announced through the media, and then Dr. Kwabena Dufour at one-on-one meetings with delegates, plus one major media salvo. And this article by Enimilashon is suggesting that the NDC is boiling because Dufour is in the ring. But he goes on to also say that this is the first contest that so I'll read that. With the NDC, however, he says nothing extraordinary after all if there are 3 people contesting. After all, turbulence happens to all. With the NDC, however, 2 extraordinary things are about to happen. 1, its twice defeated presidential candidate JDM may, for the first time since the death of Atta Mills, be going into a flag bearer race in which he may not be favorite. So I beg to differ. I don't think that John Mahama is not a favorite in the NDC. I think for anybody, of all the people who have declared their interest so far, John Mahama still remains the NDC's best. Well, he's the favorite. I think he's going to win the flag bearership race if he contests hands down. I don't know who can challenge him to it. You may make an effort, but I doubt. Anyway, that's my personal position. Moving on, Ningo Pram human trafficking hotspot. That's the police saying that. So the police is saying that Ningo Pram in the Greater Accra region has been identified by the anti-human trafficking unit of the Ghana Police Service as a hotspot for the trafficking of minors for fishing expeditions. And then GSS to conduct public services integrity survey. Then on page 18, probe into million ballot papers. We accept EC's challenge. That's the NDC. So the NDC says that the EC is challenging them to get the police to investigate the case of the 1 million ballots that they say were thumbprinted or suggested was thumbprinted for President Akufo-Addo. It says that yes, they've accepted the challenge and they're asking the police to take up the matter, and they're saying that apart from accepting the challenge by the EC, it will go a step ahead to provide evidence of the printing of additional 1 million ballot papers to the police. So they held a news conference yesterday and all these came up. NCC to fuse Ghanaian values into programs. That's the chairperson, Ms. Josephine Nkrumah. Says what is happening among the youth is frightening. They have lost their sense of direction in everything. Then on page 20, Bawumia to deliver lecture on digital economy. The Vice President, Mamadou Bawumia, will deliver a lecture on the digital economy in the evening of November 2, 2021. The public lecture, which will be hosted by the Ashesi University, will include an interactive session with students of the university on how digitalization is transforming the economy and positioning Ghana for the emerging global digital revolution. Okay. Vice President Bawumia has delivered a number of lectures on the economy. This time it's digital economy. I would have loved for him to deliver a lecture on the economy, one of those lectures he delivered before he became president.
On
and became vice president, on the economy. Okay. You know, the Bawumia series. This one is on digital economy.
I see.
Use ADR, alternative dispute resolution, to settle disputes. That's the Deputy AG telling litigants. And then Christians must be bold against LGBTQI+. Bishop Dr. Ukpoti. The Holy Apostolic Reformed Church has commemorated the 10th anniversary of the passing of the founder, Apostle Jacob Kone Akpoti, and that's where this was said. Now, let me go to the center spread. Attainment of SDGs. Government injects 659.5 million cedis into water sanitation sectors. Give us power to bite. That is the National Media Commission appealing to Parliament. And Kofi Adjei confirmed as Director General of Prison Service. And let's move on to the other stories that we have in the Daily Graphic. Okay. Police arrest supplier of fake dollar notes. The leaders of a fake currency fraudster gang has been nabbed by the police. And rerun Bibieni Angaso, the Kwai MCA election. That's 33 assembly members are asking for that. And national security compensates victims. Ayawaso West Wogomba election violence. So in the Medley, the Ningo Pram MP, Mr. Sam George, was assaulted, and media reports indicated that 18 people were wounded via gunshots. So, and then missing Lands Commission employee, husband to undergo psycho test. The police put out a statement yesterday to that effect. Says the police service has secured a court order to refer the husband of a staff of the Ashanti Regional Lands Commission who went missing in August this year for psychiatric examination. There's been a number of, there's been some Facebook posts and WhatsApp forwards suggesting that the husband is responsible, but the police have issued a statement and they're saying that there's nothing, that they have no evidence pointing or suggesting that the husband is responsible for the wife's disappearance. Now, Ghana Blind Union marks 50 years of higher education, and contractor can't hold breast screening for public. It's still October, so Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so please, it's not too late to go get your breast screened, because there are a number of companies that are doing that, organizations that are doing that for free. Now on page 50, let's build skilled human resources for sustainable development. That's Vice President Dr. Baumia saying that in business, government has to divest interest in SOEs. Tor others proposed. It says we have been running the institution since 1992 using political appointees who have no real knowledge of handling such projects, and the results are there for us to see. And I perfectly agree with the call for Tor to be privatized, and because we haven't handled Tor very well, and Tor is bleeding and draining, and it's costing the state a lot of money. We're still keeping it going, and they keep reporting losses each year. Select committee to invite contractors for shoddy work. Avian flu detected at Bone, Katamanso. Afrochella returns. Okay, you can look forward to that. Now in sports, no COVID-19 jab, no entry. GFA declares a season opening. So if you're not getting, you're not vaccinated for COVID-19, you're not going to get access to the stadium to watch any match. And on the back page, government disperses 2.3 million cedis to Makola fire victims and fruit vegetable fair openings in Accra. That's it for the daily graphic.
Okay, thank you for the 15 minutes of that. Okay, let's do the Ghanaian Times.
Is it 15 minutes?
Yes, it was 15 minutes. Ghanaian Times this morning. Traffic nightmare on Ofanko in Sawam Road. Motorist commuters decry daily gridlock. And there's a picture of some crazy looking traffic on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Asante Hene inaugurates new maternity block for KNUST Hospital. Government presents 2 million Ghana cedis to Makola market fire victims and patients stranded in hospitals as HSWU lays down tools. Okay, so Beirut violence fuels fears of return to civil war. That story on page 5. Concerned citizens rejects passage of anti-LGBTQ+ bill. That's on page 7. A happy birthday to Turkey, who turned 98. That's on page 9. Let's find some more interesting stories. So census spread. The main story is the traffic nightmare on Ofanko and Sawam Road. A traffic nightmare in most places is a real nightmare, largely caused by people creating lanes that don't exist because they are in a hurry, as opposed to everybody else who is not in a hurry, and then now we all get stuck in traffic. Okay, page 18, Ghana records 33 more COVID-19 cases. So yeah, you still need to be careful out there. Now the NIA is going to begin operations in all 16 regions on November 3rd. Remember that they temporarily shut down for a few days so that they could relocate. Well, not relocate, but redistribute so that there's an NIA office in every district. Yep. So they're starting operations in all 16 regions, November 3rd, which I think is Wednesday. So you can go out there and still get your Ghana card. Hopefully somewhere close to you. Okay, lots of breast cancer screening going on. Patients stranded in hospitals as HSWU lays down tools. And we did that in the 6 a.m. news, how some hospitals, have smelly bathrooms, people are not collecting rubbish and all of that because the workers are on strike. 19.5% of domestic debt is held by non-resident investors. That's according to the Bank of Ghana. Okay, the story says, according to data in the Central Bank's quarterly bulletin for the second quarter of 2021, 19.5% hold of domestic debt by non-resident investors marks a decrease of 0.8% when compared to the 20.3% holdings of domestic debt in quarter 2. So if that kind of thing interests you, it's on page 26. Then there's lots of sports. Beating Bayern 5-0 was like playing in a trance. I'm sure that's how the Wydad people also felt when they beat Hearts of Oak 6-1. Just saying. Accra Lions face...
You just need to, make it clear that Bayern Munich actually lost by 5 goals to nil.
Yeah, but like I said yesterday, we don't know Bayern Munich. We've never been there.
But you're talking about Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I'm reading the record. I haven't been to Germany. How many of you have been? Like, who is Bayern Munich? We know Hearts of Oak.
There are a lot of people who follow Bayern Munich
in
here
our
in this
backyard,
country.
just here, please, boss. Accra Lions face Elmina Sharks in season opener. And DHA to stop compensation for encroachment on roads. I'm going straight into the Daily Guide after using 4 minutes to do the Ghanaian Times. How many minutes? Okay, never mind.
How many minutes what?
How many minutes did it take Wydad to score Hearts of Oak?
90 minutes.
I mean, I didn't say yesterday was the last day. I said today. And even the Bible says that only a fool doesn't change their minds. So I might actually drag this out into next week. On the front page of the Daily Guide, NDC incest guru's daughter reveals secrets. NDC propaganda is wild, says Baumia. Well, so is the NPP. Apollonia chairman raises land fraud alert. So this story about this NDC incest, this NDC guru's daughter. So it was in court, and the girl came to give her report, and she said, her father, and he is her father, proposed to her and said, I want to love you now because I don't love your mother anymore, basically. And she was like, no, of course not. I mean, this is horrible. And then he forced himself on her, so raped her, essentially. And then he said, I'll take you abroad, I'll do this for you if you don't tell anyone. And then she got pregnant, and then he took her to have an abortion. And then she told her school counselor. And then when he found out that she had told the school counselor, he got very angry and beat her and all of that. It's just really horrible. And whichever way you look at it, it just makes absolutely no sense. Okay, anyway, that's on page 6. On page 5 of the Daily Guide, international stories, Sudan coup, World Bank suspends aid after military takeover. Cambridge University College returning looted bronze cockerel to Nigeria. I could make a really horrible joke, but I won't. Castration for high suspect on trial for murder. Okay, should we do some entertainment? Burna Boy says, I might not get married. Well, he says he tells his mother that, and then she gets really upset, and now he can't decide whether he actually means it or whether he just does it to get upset. But remember what the Bible says. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So, over to you, boss. Okay. Well, I don't know about that. Funny Face returns to social media against magistrate's advice. Mobile awards to return with first live show since 2017. And then there's a little bit more entertainment. Not sure why the Daily Guide breaks up the entertainment into 2 pages, like all the way there. Anyway, Halloween Ayehu concert is today. Stone Boy receives Queen's baton relay. And Randy Ish has been crowned Miss Agriculture. Ayo. GFA announces no vaccination, no entry policy. I think the first match is today. They've also increased the number of people who can come into the stadium. So it was 20% capacity, but they've increased it to 25%. So if you've been vaccinated, you miss going to the stadium. First match today. I think there's a match tomorrow as well. Xavi agrees to Barca terms. So that's Xavi Hernandez. So Barca gets him, and Accra Open returns in style. That's it for the Daily Guide.
Okay, let me quickly do the Daily Dispatch. There's some interesting stories here. Over 50% of prisoners in Ghana aged between 18 and 25 years. That's serious. 50%, over 50% of prisoners in Ghana aged between 18 and 25 years. That's essentially the youth have been jailed because they've been engaged in crimes or for one reason.
That's a very it's a very serious issue, but it's also very indicative of the systems that are being set up to support the youth to find meaningful employment.
Because if they're not finding meaningful
employment, then exactly. And we have to really look at it. Otherwise, we're going to get to a certain point where we're not going to have. I don't say we're not going to have people, but you know what I mean, right?
Anyway, and then our memo is not to legalize same-sex marriage. Let me go to that story. So the concerned Ghanaians against the anti-LGBTQI+ bill, they are saying that their memo is not against they're not trying to get same-sex marriages legalized in the country. All right, and then MP exposes NDC MP of allegations of illegal receipt of revenues, and 2024 elections will be fought at the local level. That's Dr. Bawumia, Vice President Dr. Bawumia saying that. Now, the story on the memo is not to legalize same-sex marriage. Kotu Ampao says, Kotu Ampao, a member of the Concerned Citizens Against the Anti-LGBTQI+ bill, says, the memorandum submitted to Parliament against the passage of anti-LGBTQI bill into law is not to legalize same-sex marriage. The legal practitioner at a news conference said, it is mischievous for everyone to say that our group is for legalization of same-sex marriage, and we expect the media to challenge persons who deliberately or out of ignorance propagate such disinformation. Right, that's it for the Daily Dispatch. Can we go to my journal line? A very little time left. All right, so my journal line, being short, having dreadlocks, tattoo do not affect institutional performance. That's Kwesi Eni telling the security agency. That was a conversation we were having yesterday. How it's been justified that, yes, the rules, so you just have to comply. UG students use VC, Vice Chancellor, Dean of Students, others over disqualification from JCR elections. Collaborate with universities to prepare students for the job market, Professor Kwote tells business owners. Photos of the EcoBank Journeys Habitat Fair. So the EcoBank Journeys Habitat Fair has opened. It opened yesterday, and it's going to run until Monday. So make time to visit. But you can also check out the photos here on my Joy Online. And Isaac Ejie is new Director General of Ghana Prison Service. Volta Region Caucus in Parliament demands apology from Akufo-Addo for his infamous retort to Aflao chief, and that story was on the AM News. Delaying to report a crime does not change the facts. A free Ankara on alleged printing of 1 million extra ballot papers.
Okay, well, that's it for My Joy Online. That's it for the news review. But before we go, we're having a conversation a little later on about whether love is enough. So is love enough to make your marriage work, or is it enough to decide based on just love to marry someone or be with someone? What else do you need? Is love enough? We've asked that question on Facebook. If you head over to our Facebook page, tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you. Of course, we'll open the phone lines as well, because it's an interactive conversation, and Ochiame Kwame will be joining us as well for that conversation. And Israel will be telling us if love is enough. And if he says yes, then why isn't love enough to make our relationship work? Because it's not working, especially not when Hearts of Oak is losing by 6 goals. I mean, it's just not working. Anyway, what is working is the sports, and that's coming up right after this. Don't go anywhere.
good morning and welcome to the AM Sports. Today is a big day in Ghana football as after 103 days, the Ghana Premier League has finally returned. The 2021-2022 season would be commencing tonight as Accra Lions in their first season would be facing Elmina Sharks. We'll be doing more preview to the Ghana Premier League much later on the show as we're extending sports today. But let's start off with some stories, and we'll look at a Ghanaian sports physician who has urged Ghanaian striker Raphael Dramana to consider early retirement following his recurring heart problems. The 26-year-old is stable after he was rushed to the hospital on Wednesday during an Austrian Cup match. The Ghanaian saw a move to Premier League side Brighton and Hove Albion collapse in 2017 as a result of a reported failed medical due to his heart condition. Now, Dr. Prince Pambo, he's a member of the CAF medical team, has urged Raphael Dramana to think about quitting football.
So whatever I am going to say, it's just my personal opinion and does not represent the position of any organization that I'm affiliated to. Or the practice I even represent. Personally, if Dramana is my patient, I will sit Dramana down and probably call a year or two off, all right, to deeply go into whatever problem it is. And probably I will be tilted towards wanting to prepare him very well for a beautiful retirement from sports. I think when some of these things happen, a bold decision would have to be taken, and I'll be tilted towards wanting to prepare my patient to have a clean and a very good exit point, and see how he can use the experience he's gathered from playing football to help the same industry, probably from a technical point or an administrative side of things, like you rightly said. Whatever journey that begins definitely comes to an end. And when we have health here, then you would want to take a critical look at things and take that bold decision. So personally, I'll be tilted towards wanting to say, hey, let's call some time off, probably go into deeper investigations of whatever it is, and then have that heart-to-heart talk and then take that decision. And I'll be tilted towards wanting to say, hey, the end of the journey is near and let's prepare for a very beautiful exit.
All right. Well, ahead of the new football season, the Ghana Football Association has introduced a no vaccination, no entry policy into their competition venues with immediate effect. President of the football governing body, Kato Kreku, said the move is for the betterment of the football community. My colleague, Muftal Nabila Abdullahi, has the rest of the story.
Per a document available to Joy Sports, the Ghana Football Association made less than 500,000 Ghana cedis in last season Ghana Premier League. However, a president of the Ghana Football Association, Kurt Okreku, has announced that if you want to have access to their products as a fan, you must be fully vaccinated. This, many believe, could be counterproductive. But Mr. Okreku explained that the move is for the betterment of the football community.
What is good is that the government is going to roll out a lot of vaccines. I understand even this week we are having 5 million vaccines coming into the country. So there's a lot more vaccine available to the people. And want to ensure that we enjoy our sport in our usual manner, where we can chant and sing, like it's currently happening across Europe. People go into the stadium even without a face mask, okay? And they're enjoying their sport because they've been vaccinated. And once we have the chance to be vaccinated, we need to encourage our people to be vaccinated. And we're starting from our good selves. I have vaccinated. All our Premier League clubs, Division 1 League clubs, and Women Premier League clubs are going to be vaccinated. And we encourage our direct consumers also to be vaccinated. So we are free. Because at the end of the game, players will go out into the system and they don't want to be at risk anymore. Okay, so I would encourage everybody to be vaccinated so we can enjoy our footy again. It is with the immediate effect. Players are being vaccinated as we speak. The government is rolling out the vaccines again this week. So it's happening side by side.
The discussions were serene. Members had gone through the document before assembling. So there were no many activities at the Congress of the Ghana Football Association, which happened at its technical center in Prom Prom. Some of the key highlights were the acceptance of last year's financial statements and the approval of the next budget for the Football Association, which is about 58 million Ghana cedis, 13 million less than what the FA approved for the Secretariat in their last Congress last year. So in terms of the Congress of the Ghana Football Association, one would say it was a success. But there are other components of the football community that contribute greatly to the development of the product football in the country. One of the sectors is the refereeing sector. Referees manager of the Ghana Football Association, Alex Corte, has indicated to Joy Sports the football governing body could just be rolling out a mini video assistant referee with broadcast right holders of the Ghana Premier League.
I want to discuss with Star Times to see what we can do in the interim. Okay, if we can create something, if not even closer to VAR, but something where the referees will get a second access to their, to major incidents, and then see how best they can review it and then come back. It's something that we want them to discuss. If we are not able to finish it within this week, of course, the league is starting from tomorrow. I'm supposed to rush there. I was supposed to meet them yesterday, but we couldn't meet. So today, if I'm able to get to Accra on time, we will see. But if we are not able to finalize, maybe in a week or two, we will finalize it and then we'll try and experiment it, do some pilot work and see how it works.
Is it going to be more of replay stuff for referees?
Yes. Because Start Times have the replay tool, and so they will want to try with that one and then we'll see how it works.
Perfect implementation of this idea by the referees department of the Ghana Football Association could just maybe save the product Ghana football from the litany of allegations leveled against referees in Ghana football. If there's anyone who wants the betterment of Ghana football, it is a community that assembled here. And the decisions that were accepted by everyone clearly shows that there is a new path for everyone involved in football in the country. For Joy Sports, from the Ghana Soccer Center of Excellence, from I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi.
Well, all our talk today is about the commencement of the 2021-2022 Ghana Premier League season and newcomers into the competition. BBNE Gold Stars say their home venue, that's the Dunes Park, is ready ahead of the new season. My colleague Delali Atiase put together this report.
The management of BBNE Gold Stars says the dance park, which has been okayed by the GFA's Club Licensing Board, is ready to host Premier League matches. Indeed, 2 months ago, when this team visited the facility, it was nowhere near how it's looking now. With the stands almost ready and the safe zone well in place, all look set for Gold Stars to host their first game of the season against Brekum Chelsea on Sunday, according to club CEO Kwesi Edu.
I think it has been a sleepless night job. After the qualification process, I need to get my engineers on board. We sat down and did a strategy that, look, we need to get the minimum requirement that will get the team the nod to play in Vianney Dance Park. And we realized that the basic requirement, one, was the safe zone area and getting the inner perimeter well resourced, and also getting the underground tunnel so that players coming from the dressing room will be safe. Looking at the criteria set by the Club Licensing Board, those were the basic requirements. So we matched all our resources towards that. Looking at the stadium as it stands now, we understand that there's a lot more to do, but we tried as much as possible to get the basics done, and it was rightly done point by point. You realize the last time we came here about 2 months ago, we didn't have a certain facilities here.
Yeah, there was not even the
yes, and we were so much of a lengthy or in a rush to get the narrative for Dance Park to change. And rightly, we have gotten the narrative change for Dance Park.
Well, still on the Ghana Premier League, let's take a look at the fixtures for this weekend. That's the opening weekend of the new season. And that should be on your screen in a moment from now. But we do know the first fixture to kick things off is newcomers Accra Lions as they host Elmina Sharks, who narrowly survived relegation last season. On Saturday, we have Asante Kotoko begin a new journey with Prosper Nateogum as they travel to the Accra Sports Stadium to face Dreams FC. On Sunday, defending champions Heart of Oak would be hosting their Accra rivals Legon City. 11 Wonders play against Ashanti Gold, and then Bechem United host Mediama SC. LTE return to the Ghana Premier League for the first time in 8 years, and they will be kicking off their campaign with Anna Walker's Accra Great Olympics. BBNE Gold Stars also the first time ever being in the Ghana Premier League after their 24-year existence, and they would also be at home against Brekum Chelsea at the Dance Park. Ken Faisal would be at home against Wafa, who finished 3rd place last season, and Karela, who've made the most signings this transfer window with a number of 17 players coming in, would be looking to start the season on a strong note when they face Aduana Stars. Well, we're doing more analysis of these games much later on the show today, but let's now take a look at some fixtures to look forward to in the European scene as well. And there's some big games to look ahead of this weekend, especially with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United knowing that he has to beat Tottenham Hotspur if he's to stand any chance of keeping his job. But that match would be much later on Saturday. Earlier, Arsenal would travel to the King Power Stadium to face Leicester City. Burnley host Brentford, and Liverpool would look to continue their strong start to the season when they are home against Brighton and Hove Albion. Manchester City, the defending champions, would be facing Jordan Ayew's Crystal Palace. Newcastle face Chelsea, and Watford are home against Southampton. On Sunday, Norwich would be at home against Leeds United. Aston Villa play West Ham, and there's Monday Night Football when Wolves face Everton. Well, that's part one of the sports segment. Part two, we'll be looking at the Ghana Premier League, which starts today. We'll be looking at key issues off the pitch, especially looking at the no vaccination, no entry policy. And then we'll be taking a look at some issues also concerning e-ticketing. And then we come to the football itself. Who would most likely be winning the title this season? These and many more to come right after this.
Lovely dummy from Udasiru. Here is Kwe. Can he score? Kwe. Beautiful goal. Olympics up by 1-0. Awesome. Olympics 1. Mediama 0.
You see the ball from you. Lovely one from the target man. Udasiru into the path of Kwe. He's got pace. Nobody's going to catch him to it. And as the goalkeeper approaches, right in through his legs into the back of the net for the opener for today. Look at the composure, look at the calmness about the man and the finish as well. You know, goalkeeper Boateng couldn't really set himself up at a time where the strike was being taken, and right through his legs into the back of the net. Brilliant stuff for Olympics. What has been a very, very compelling and competitive fixture.
Great Olympics up by 1-0.
And both Johnson Smith and Kazali both together around him.
Gama with a shot on target, and that is Gama's first goal of the league season.
What a goal. He took it on the unfavorable right foot. It took a time, he waited, he wanted the direction. There was no power, but of course the direction was explicit.
Fabio Gama registers the first goal, and let's take a look at the replay once again.
So the ball will fall gingerly for Fabio Gama. He chested the ball. He had his cool composure. He sized up the goalpost, and that was the finish.
Switches to the middle. Here is Tete Zuta. He's got space to drive, and Zuta tries to set up Prince of Pagwajiman. What an equalizer!
Slippery as an eel. You just can't keep an eye on him. Take a look at his movements. Those pass Ganyu once he steps up to close in on him. His first touch is brilliant. And the effort to get past the goalkeeper, he can't reach it, he can't get to it. First touch, he knows where he is, looks at the goalkeeper, and really deliberately strikes the ball in the manner in which he did.
Flag stays down, no question marks about the goal. Amazing finish by this man. You just can't stop him when he's in this mood. It's 3 goals in 2 games for him. Brilliant.
Esiama can he score a second? And that's it. It's 2-0 for Asante Kotoko. Godfred Esiama. Fabio Gama. He picks up the ball, finds Godfred Esiama. Always looking for the pockets of space to pick. Esiama returns the pass, but look at the through ball. Brilliant through ball. The weight of the pass is good. Goes past the goalkeeper.
Four of 11 Wonders, they were just standing and watching him play. After the first touch, you really realize the first touch wasn't that good.
Yes, but it's an opportunity on the other side, and the response is as quick as silver as Clement Boahing restores parity.
And we are seeing, wonderful goals here at the Cape Coast Stadium, and I love their response. Feels there could be an opening here. And Prince, anytime draws possess in the 18-yard, it is a goal!
What a goal! What a goal! And against the run of play.
So those were some incredible goals that we saw in the 2020-2021 Ghana Premier League season. Today, the 2021-2022 season kicks off, and we're here to get you ready for what should be an incredible campaign. We'll be looking at issues off the pitch concerning the prize money and then the trophies, and also the new policy, that's the no vaccination, no entry policy set by the Ghana Football Association. And then we'll also be tackling some of the footballing issues as to the 3 newly promoted clubs and who would be most likely winning the Ghana Premier League this season. And I won't be doing this alone. I've been joined via Zoom with Gary Al Smith of the Joy Sports team, and then Bismarck Owusu-Bempah of Insura Sports. It's a pleasure to have you, gentlemen, this morning. First off, let's rewind a bit, and let me start with you, Gary. What were your overall thoughts from last season, being the first time that we've completed a league in about 4 years?
Well, obviously, it's good news, isn't it? That's what we want to see. We want to see everything that has a beginning getting an end. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a relief, first of all. Look, the lack of completion of league seasons means that we were not getting a credibility that the Ghana Premier League deserved, and our credibility was going down the drain. Also for players, you want to be able to take a season off on your roster and say that I went for pre-season, I had the season, I was done with it. This is what I was able to get from my hard work, or I need to improve, and so on. For the administrators, obviously, you want to be able to measure your growth, your rate of growth, by completed league seasons as well. And it's destabilized a whole lot of things. I mean, for a club like Mediama, for example, I am sure if you ask fans of Mediama or administrators, they would say that they've been hard done by, because 3 out of those 4 seasons in the past 4 years, then Mediama looked at the point the league was truncated like they were odds-on favorites to win the league, having finished on top of those league seasons at least twice before they were truncated. So there are so many reasons I can think of, especially for the anecdotal stories that, we don't see, why it was good for us to end the league season and to complete it as well.
Bismarck, what about you? What did you make of last season, and what stood out for you?
I think it was refreshing. you speak to football administrators in the last 2-3 years, and you ask them the effect of Ghana football not being able to complete a season, and they tell you it's enormous. The negative effect was just enormous. It affected football business, it affected player transfer, it affected everything you can think of in terms of the football ecosystem and how it has to be run. It was a big indictment on Ghana football. In terms of the public perception about the game, we were being affected with a lot of apathy because already the name of the game was not in good light to these supporters. So to have evidence and it's affecting us not really making it through a season was a big indictment. So last season was so refreshing, looking at a league that was competitive and looking at a league that had a lot of issues though, but we were able to complete it, make sure we name our champions, make sure we name the good players within the league, and make sure we had the full blown of whatever we expect to happen in a full season. I think for me as a journalist, it was something that I really, really want it to continue.
Well, brilliant thoughts there from last season. But let's start on the financial note, which is arguably the most important for the clubs as well, because, of course, they want to survive. It's not just about playing football. First off, before we talk about the financials, let's take a look at what's at stake for teams this season in terms of prize money and what they'll be winning. And you can see that from the slide. The winner takes home 250,000 Ghana cedis. The runner-up would be winning 150,000 cedis. And if you do come in third, you would be rewarded with 80,000 Ghana cedis. Also for this season, there's a new award, and that's the best referee would be getting a car. As to what model, we're not too clear on yet. And what we do know is that all 18 teams would be receiving a total of 40 balls each. Gary, let me come to you. We've completed the first season. We heard of the prize money. People were not too impressed, but the GFO cut some slack because that was the first season being organized and we're hoping to finish it. Now the league has been finished. Did you expect a bit more this time around?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, growth is what we are all expecting, isn't it? And the 250,000 was not much anyway, especially if you convert to the forex, the foreign currencies, which is what we do international business in. Okay, when you are selling players, if you are giving bonuses and all those things, it's dollar rated. So I don't think it was too far-fetched for stakeholders to have expected a slight or significant increase with all the talk about the FA bagging sponsors in the past calendar year and all that. So you can understand the disappointment, I would think, for those who felt that it wasn't a great look for us to still remain at 250,000 Ghana cedis. But, they keep telling us about their challenges and we probably have to listen to them. And that really is that. It's not the best, honestly. 250,000 cedis, if I could make the dollar conversion right now, that could be about, let me do that.
I think somewhere around $40,000.
Come on, man. Come on. That is not even small. That is paltry. What does $40,000 buy you in football circles these days, Riku? Nothing.
That would be just a couple months' salary of the whole squad.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
But do you think if a headline sponsor came in, maybe we could have been seeing an improvement?
Obviously, that goes without saying. The FA also says that, correct me if I'm wrong, but the narrative we are getting from the FA is that the valuation they have of the Ghana Premier League is not what is currently being met by the various suitors for the league, and that's what we are hearing from the Ghana Premier League. And again, we are told that the valuation for the Ghana Premier League is what? $2 million?
I think they came down to $1 million.
They came down, okay, it used to be $2 million, but they came down to $1 million. But if we had our colleague Bill Eshen here, who did a very interesting financial evaluation this week, and it's on myjoyonline.com. You can find it, where he argues, based on a lot of cogent reasons, that the valuation of $1 million for the Ghana Premier League is even still too much, so we should value it downwards. If that is the case, then we are in trouble. If the Ghana Premier League is not even worth $1 million, as some of the independent analysis has shown, then we're in trouble. But this is where I think that all stakeholders, especially us in the media, have a job to do. We need to put our shoulders to the wheel, grind our axes as well, to ensure that the value of this product that we all love, not we all love, but that we all, in one way or form, get our daily bread from, in various ways, really, really, really goes up. Because if the value of the league shoots up, it means then that other rights holders who have to pay for the various packages being on offer, either on television or either on whatever you can think of, the ref, at least we have a ref kit sponsor this time, we have a ball sponsor. Immediately the valuation of the Ghana Premier League goes up, then it means that all these other sponsors have to pay more. It means then that the FA will be given signals to, for example, the TV rights holder, that is Star Times, to be paying more to the clubs, the trickle-down effects, and so on and so forth. So, look, you come to a point in your life where you realize that, especially as media, I'm talking to us, the media now, what really are we doing when we sit behind a microphone and all we want to do is to bastardize the product, okay? And we always say, I've said this for the last few years. I mean, when I was starting out as a journalist, and I'm always honest about it, that in your hunger for news and all that, very cool. Yeah, you're fishing out the bad news so that you're the first to put out the bad news. But especially when you start looking at the big picture, you start traveling and seeing what others are doing, particularly in Europe and elsewhere, doing with their leagues. And I can give you two examples right now. 2 years ago, and I do mean 2 years ago, in England, there was an electricity outage at a Premier League match, Leicester and somebody. Look, that day in the Joy Sports newsroom, Oriku, we went on every single major international platform, especially the English ones. We looked at all their match reports. All of them, not one mentioned the power outage, not one. Not one. I mean, it was such, at this point I knew already, but for some of the others that we were working with, this is about 2 or 3 years ago, yeah. It was such a wake-up call for a lot of the guys on the team. And I said it on radio and other stations as well, that this is what they are doing to protect the image of their league, because that power outage will be used to evaluate the bigness of the league at the end of the season. And it's going to affect what somebody is going to pay the following season. If we have a power outage at the Baba Yara Stadium during it, it's going to be a headline news story on a lot of websites in Ghana. What are we doing? When fans or streakers go onto Premier League grounds, now they don't even show those pictures. At most, the commentator will hint at it. Sometimes some of the broadcasters don't even say it. 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago that we had a match where fans were misbehaving in a qualifier or something in the Nations League or something, and there was a stoppage? They didn't even show it. The broadcaster I was watching on did not even acknowledge it, did not even show it. In Hungary, yes, England versus Hungary in Hungary. England versus Hungary in Hungary. They did not even mention that there was trouble on one end of the ground and that the Hungarian fans were battling with the police. They did not even mention it on the broadcast I was watching on. It was journalists on Twitter who independently tweeted for us to know that, this is what is going on. So, yeah, we have a huge task ahead of us, all of us as stakeholders. Obviously, we have a duty to our viewers and our audience to say that, this is the real situation on the ground, obviously. But there needs to be a fine line for all of us when reporting on this product as well.
Well summed up there, Gary. But let me come to you, Bismarck. Gary is looking at the long-term effects of, the financials and even going beyond that to how the various stakeholders have to play a role if you want to get the value up and essentially get more money pumped up into the league. But Bismarck, don't you feel that the league is at a point where you take 2 steps forward, but essentially you have to take 2 steps backwards because clubs have to survive? And I'm saying this because if you remember clearly last season, in the first couple of months or so, we started really strongly, and then all our top strikers started moving to Algeria. And that's because the clubs here do not have enough money to sustain these guys. So when a good offer comes, they keep on leaving the shores, and we're not attracting enough top talents to be able to shoot up the value. Doesn't it look like whatever we gain, we just let it go, and so we're not really moving forward?
So what it means is that we will need a baseline investment into our league so that we take it off from there. And how do we get it? That is why sometimes I'm quite disappointed when we have people within the FA meet the government and the story that we hear from them are about Black Stars and not about the league. If you look at the effect of the league in terms of its investment on the Ghanaian economy, I think it's much bigger than the investment in the Black Stars when we talk about football and its related effect on the economy of Ghana. We talk about the transportation industry, we talk about the hospitality industry, we talk about individual businesses, hawkers, pubs, and all those businesses getting revamped when there are league games midweek and every weekend in Ghana. We talk about the media having to go around do our businesses when it comes to the proper season of Ghana football. We talk about players that every club will have to register, getting their daily bread, involving themselves in the season every now and then. We talk about the medical teams of these teams. We talk about the drivers we employ within these teams. So if you take a deep introspection about the football economy and what the government could gain in terms of the employment that it creates and everything, I think we've had our priorities wrong in terms of investment into football. And I'm laying this straight into the doorsteps of the government and their football administrators, as in the Ghana Football Association, because I think the first baseline investment must come from them. Now, what have we been hearing over the years? Minister for Youth and Sports come and go, and all that they try to put across is that, look, we have tax rebates, you get the businesses come in and we will give them tax incentives and all that. We've never, in a practical mood, heard of the Ghana Football Association saying we've been able to get through the Ministry of Youth and Sports, to get through the Finance Ministry, to get through Parliament, and that they've given us even tax bonds, and that at the beginning of this season, we have a tax bond of $2 million. We want to invest it into businesses. So if you are any business that are interested in getting mileage on our Ghana Premier League and other Ghana Football Association products, just come for it. Then when you are filing your taxes, we give you these tax bonds to show to government that, look, I've had tax bonds from the Ghana Football Association and I'm investing my money into the Ghana Premier League. I'm investing my money into the Division 1 or into the Women's Premier League. We need to start from somewhere. And if you look at the poster of corporate Ghana, they are looking for the right investment in terms of the baseline so that when it's built, then they can come in. Look, this Black Star that we are so flamboyant about, it started from President Kufuor and Osafo Maafo, then as a sports minister's time. They invested into the Black Stars. Then at a point in time, at the pinnacle in 2010, we had a lot of sponsors, Chiki.com, Guinness Ghana. You can mention a few, about 13 strong sponsorships around the Black Stars. But it wasn't so at the beginning of 2004, 2005, 2006, when we first qualified for our World Cup. So the baseline investment must come from an institution like the government, and I don't see the Ghana Football Association or any administration of that sort pushing for investment into it. And it becomes very, very difficult for me as a corporate institution to look at the brand, to look at what Gary is mentioning, the bad press around it, and say, look, I can give you $1 million and invest into such a product. Something must happen to develop the enthusiasm around the business of products so that it gets the eyes of other investors who can then say, okay, you've built a baseline, you are growing steadily, and I love to be part of this investment, and we get it to go. So it's the Blasters template I want us to follow. Osafo Malfo got President Kofor to invest into the Blasters, and at a point in time, he became the most attractive brand when it comes to Ghana football and its products. We must do same to the Ghana Premier League, and it must start from the government.
Well, a theme I'm picking up from you, Bismarck, is that we have to start from somewhere. And we have on the phone lines Billy Sean. Gary rightly mentioned that he wrote an article on my journal online looking at the valuation of the Ghana Premier League in terms of headline sponsorship. What they do say is that they're not taking anything less than $1 billion as of now. And so they're not going to budge for that. Bill, it's a pleasure to have you here this morning. You did this article where you explored the fact that just about 10 years ago, Glow put about $3 million in the Ghana Premier League each year. So that was a high point for the league. Now, from what you've seen so far with the GFA completing the first season in 4 years, do you think the foundation has been set to be able to reach those heights again?
Yeah, I think over the years, people were more or less afraid that the Ghana Premier League season could run its course from start to finish. And despite COVID-19 rearing its head, we were able to witness that happen. We witnessed from match day 1 to match day 34. We saw teams play. I mean, it was exciting and all. The brand is slowly being built, but I mean, it's quite too early to make that valuation of $1 million on the league because of what has happened in the past. Definitely, we've seen the Ghana football being shaken to its knees by number 12. We've seen hooliganism happen in, a few matches and all that. So, I mean, as it was said before, we have to start from somewhere. And last season feels like that start that we need. And we just have to kick on from there. We have to be consistent, in showing the league, in playing the league. We shouldn't be having those stoppages and starting, which would, make corporate Ghana just move back and say, hey, I can't trust in this league because we are not consistent enough. That's what we need, that consistency. And I think last season is just the start.
All right, thank you very much, Bill. But let me come to you, Gary. To be able to attain the heights that Bill is projecting, one area that we may have to work on is the refereeing, because in a sense, refereeing is linked to hooliganism. When we see hooliganism come up when people deem referees to be a bit biased and not taking the right decisions. The GFA say that they're trying to curb that and have decided to reward the best referee with a car. What do you make of that incentive, and in the overall big picture, do you think that would contribute to helping refereeing decisions this season?
Any incentive that seeks to get the best out of the human resource definitely is a step in the right direction. And I use those words very carefully, a step in the right direction, because you could give an incentive of 1 cedi. It is a step in the right direction. Giving the refs a car is a step in the right direction. And far be it from me to look down on whatever attempt the GFA is making, because the challenges are real. They are not perceived. The challenges are real. For the GFA to get a car, I'm not sure where they got the car from, which sponsor gave it to them, but knowing the caliber or the personal worths of a lot of the GFA officials, if it were probably their personal products, they could give more than the car. But it's a corporate institution. They can't go about donating. They have to ensure that the GFA as a corporate entity, or as an element, or as what do I say? As a corporate entity, but giving it a human face, is able to live on its own and subsist on its own. So they are building it so that it is able to not rely on donations and things like that. Coming more directly to your question, I think that we cannot overemphasize the importance of referees. yesterday on the GPL primer, we did not have the chance, Reku, to take so many calls and Zoom calls, that is phone calls and Zoom calls. But you will recall how many of those who were kind enough to call into the show or contact us spoke about refereeing, Reku. And that should tell you what you need to know. You see, for better or worse, we have a proper perception issue about refs. I've always said that our ref issues are vastly overstated. I always say that. Why? Because you see, and again, using yesterday as a sample, and it just feeds into something I've always said. We always mention, Premier League, La Liga, League One, but we forget on an almost weekly basis, anybody who is honest with themselves in those top leagues, the number of dubious referee calls. In fact, it is so bad, and guess what? For years now, I just want to be conservative, at least I know that for the last 10 years, the Premier League has what they call the dubious goals table. Yes, and I'm sure you know that, Oreku. Yeah. They have what they call the dubious goals table. So at the end of the league season, Ayala and Oreku, they have a table where they rank which team has benefited from dubious refereeing calls the most. Every season they do it. And it is not a joke. It is not one, it is not two. You get my point. Yeah. It is there for all to so. You can just Google it right now for the benefit of those who want to watch and want to and feed their minds this morning. Premier League dubious goals table, and you are going to see it there. So it's going to give you Manchester United. They would have had 74 points rather than 71 points if it wasn't because of dubious goals, or they would have had 80 points rather than 84 if it wasn't for dubious goals. And you are going to see they do one for offsides and all those other things. You know, they are meticulous. So I've always said that yes, we want to get our referees to be better, but I'm challenging anybody out there. There is no league in the world running currently that is far from refereeing indiscretions. Look, you saw the goal that, you saw the red card that was given against Ethan Ampedu. Yeah. It was Ghanaian parents in the Serie A for Venezia. It was, just so that I'm not too dramatic, but I think you guys would agree, it was criminal. Yeah. It was criminal that they gave the young man a red card for what was a 99%, in my humble opinion, clear tackle. He lost the ball, he went into the ball and calmly took the ball. The ref, for some reason, and it's even more criminal, I'd say, because he had the benefit of VAR. The man actually went to look at VAR and somehow decided that that tackle was still a red card offense. So I am saying that, look, our referees have a ways to go. And with the benefit of some of the decisions that they take and all that, yes, we know that occasionally, yesterday, we had a call from, what's his name? Ebenezer Edu. You know, Ayala, you've been in the industry for a bit longer. He used to be the PRO of Mediama, but he's moved on to other things. He called on the show and he also spoke about refereeing indiscretions. I mean, these are people who you consider those who know their way around the league. And he mentioned that even last season, there were a couple of games that it seems refs, had the results in their pocket before they came in. And you see, these things are all over the world, but we are talking about our own, and so we want to stamp out some of these indiscretions as early as possible. Yeah. And so yesterday, we were also told at the GFA Congress that thankfully, we are not going to have VAR, but the FA is looking to standardize the use of playbacks in the Ghana Premier League. And I think that's very refreshing, okay? If it doesn't do anything at all, from a purely perception point of view, and look, in Ghana, across the sphere of every kind of governance in Ghana, whether it's education, whether it's at the legislature, whether it's at the executive, at the judiciary, perception is such a big issue in Ghana because perception can undo you. And Eric, what you have not done, they say you have done. and that is Ghana. And once it sticks, you are dead, you are gone. You know, the Ghana Premier League has over the years been a huge victim. Oh, they say King Faisal have done this. Oh, they say King Faisal. Well, it's not true. But somebody has said it on their favorite radio station in Fanchiniko. And so once their favorite presenter has said that, oh, they say King Faisal has said that, you are finished. That's the truth. You know. So for refereeing, I think that even more, you know, in advertising, they say perception is even more powerful than the reality. The ref issue in Ghana, and I think that over the years, the GFA have tried to control the narrative with some of the pictures you are seeing, letting us see more visuals of refs undergoing training, letting us know about their Catch Them Young initiative, letting us know the success of that initiative. And then for the benefit of viewers, the Catch Them Young initiative is an initiative, it's a scheme, for the GFA that seeks to unearth refs at the earliest age possible. We are talking about from age 12, 13, 14, letting them officiate games at secondary school level, and then at university level, then at juvenile level, and so on, so that by the time they get to the age of 23, 24, they are even fit and proper to ref Division 1 Ghana Premier League teams. And one success story was last season, I believe, again, correct me if I'm wrong, when ref Yao Bless, I think it was, officiated in the Super Clash of the Ghana Premier League. It was so heartwarming when we were able to see pictures of this young man when he was scouted at the Catch Them Young initiative in Pram by Otia. He was standing with Otia Kente and two other refs or so about 5 or 6 years ago, you know, having grown to an extent that he's able to take over the biggest game in the Ghanaian calendar. And so for all intents and purposes, he had a fantastic game. So these are the optics that the GFA, obviously assisted by all of us in the stakeholders, you know, for people to look at it and say that, oh yeah, this is what it looked like. In my daily commute, you see people and hear people say, oh, as for the Ghana Premier League is this, and you ask them, oh, what is it that bothers you about the Ghana Premier League? And they go like, oh, as for the league. And I say, oh, humor me. What is it that you think can be improved or is not good? They will mention something, and then you calmly educate them that, oh, this has been done in the past 4 years. They're like, oh, really? Last 4 years? I'm like, yeah, it's not even the KET administration. Even before the KET administration, the normalization time, this happened. Yeah. They were able to do the,
Gary. Yeah. Okay, so Gary, you've been very comprehensive on the referee, and we just wanted to hear some thoughts of people as we wrap up, so you can call us on the phone lines. The numbers on your screen. Let us know what your expectations are ahead of the new season. But we'll also wait for your call. Bismarck, let me come to you on the medals and the trophy. Last season, we saw a lot of noise about the quality of medals and trophy. We've not heard of a change. What do you make of that?
I think we can do better. These medals and trophies are not too costly, and the GFA should know that when I take home something to represent a reward from a product that is supposed to be the flagship product when it comes to the FA organized competitions, I think it must well represent what it means, not only to those who involve themselves in the competition, but to the organizers of the competition. So I think they had enough of their critics in terms of the level of these medals and the trophy. And everything will push them to improve so much on that. And you see, the reason why the club licensing has been very, very demanding, especially on the security zones of these venues, is to give the referees the confidence to be able to make the calls and feel free to officiate games. So I presume that when we have improved the security at our venues, where then we think that we've been able to curb to some extent the level of the availability of hooligans to come and affect the referees and their decisions, we can only hope that they will improve on what they did in the last season, and that will probably get into how we develop as a league and how nice the whole atmosphere will be created.
All right, Bismarck, let me come back to you. I think we have a caller on the line. I'll come back for you to wrap up on your thoughts. And we have Bawa from WA. Bawa, hope you're well. What team do you support in the Ghana Premier League?
Currently, I support Accra Folk. That's my team. I support it wholeheartedly.
Well, you won the league for the first time in 12 years last season. Do you think that you would be retaining that title this year?
Oh, yeah, I'm very sure. I'm hoping and praying that we maintain the squad we are having. We have a very good, squad, and I believe that we are going to be, go through.
Okay, I think Bawa dropped that, but we have Jerome from Accra. Jerome, hope you're well. Can you let us know what team you support?
I support Kotoko.
Kotoko. Interesting. Yeah. You've had about 16 signings and new coach. How confident are you that you can topple Hearts to the trophy this season?
Well, Kotoko is always a favorite to win the Ghana Premier League. I mean, there's no question about that. But there's a point Gary made. I wanted to take his opinion with this question.
Okay, yeah, Gary is listening.
A lot of the negatives that Gary was talking about in Europe, which are usually blacked out from the public's view, if you turn the coin and talk about those negatives here, those negatives are created by the clubs. In most instances, it is club operatives, club assigned that are behind it.
Yeah.
My question to Gary is, unlike Europe, where you would say, like lights going off could be a purely technical issue. Here, it is orchestrated by people who are manning football, who you would expect to think beyond a certain point. How do we turn media lenses off these incidents? Well, we know very well that these things are done by people who should know better.
All right, thank you very much, Jerome. I would ask Gary that question before we wrap up. We have another caller on the phone lines. That's Dominic from Cape Coast. Dominic, how are you doing and what are you expecting this season in the league?
Okay, good morning to you. Good morning to your cherished viewers. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My expectation is that what had happened in the past will not continue. Like what happened between Ashgold and Inter-Allies. I'm expecting that this thing will not happen again in our history, and hope that the teams will play all their heart out so that we'll have a very good season. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dominic from Cape Coast. You had the pleasure of being our last caller. Now, Gary and Bismarck, I'll be giving you 20 seconds each to wrap up. Gary, you might want to touch on the question that we had from Jerome in your wrap-up, where he says that we should expect better from these clubs. And then after that, Bismarck, you also wrap up and share your final thoughts.
The simple thoughts, the simple answer is that then we have a problem of education. I mean, if nobody benefits if the Ghana Premier League grows more than the clubs directly, I mean.
Yeah.
So if they are the ones instigating these negative headlines, well, then we're in trouble. That's all I would say. Yeah. Then they probably need to stop it. There isn't much more that I can say, honestly.
Yeah.
Because then the media has a job to do, and yeah, we will do it. We'll do it. So if they give us the negative headlines, we'll do it. If we are doing our part to censor and put out the positives, and you, the clubs, only focus on making the negatives front and center for us to have no option to do, then yeah, you gave me 20 seconds, so that's it.
All right. Thank you very much, Gary. Bismarck, your final thoughts?
I think my final thought will be simple. We all as stakeholders, the media, the spectators, the administrators, the clubs, the players, the medical team, the businesses around the league, everyone should hold it as a responsibility to make sure that we play our part in making us see the league that we want to see, so that we can compare it to the best that we can find around Africa and around the world. We all have a very, very good responsibility to the product of the Ghana Premier League, and we must be committed to it. We must ensure that we use internal mechanisms to solve problems that comes around and not be so in a haste to bring out the negatives and highlight them as if we want to downgrade the product that we all cherish so much. So it holds on all of us as stakeholders of the Premier League to have a good spirit behind it and through our support and do our best to propagate it in a very, very good light.
All right, thank you very much, Bismarck. And that's how we'll be wrapping up on our extended AM Sports this morning, where we took a look at the beginning of the 2021-2022 Ghana Premier League season. And if we could just quickly look at the fixtures for this weekend, I think that's the most important takeaway for most people. And also a reminder that if you want to go and check out or watch the team that you support, you need to show proof of full vaccination at the entrance. So whether it's Hearts, Kotoko, Accra Lions, we can check the fixtures. If you're going to the Accra Sports Stadium tonight to watch Accra Lions versus Almina Sharks at 6 p.m., you need to show proof of double vaccination. And those are the fixtures to look forward to in match day 1 of the new Ghana Premier League season. For more stories, you can visit myjoyonline.com/sports and get the latest in the world of sports. You can also follow us on social media at JoySportsGH. My name is Oreko Wampofo, and we'll be back with more sports stories. The AM show continues right after this.
Was it last year or last 2 years?
It was last year.
It was last year, huh? Yeah. Seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? Yeah. I remember when lockdown last year, and there's so many stories that came up about people rediscovering each other.
Okay. Well, there were those who were rediscovering each other.
There were those who almost killed each other. There were those who decided, nah, we're not going to do this. And there were those who, fell in love with each other all over again. But that's just the song. But we're also asking you this morning, is love enough? A very simple question. There's a saying that love conquers all. And we love that saying. And there's also, one of my favorite Bible verses about what love is. Love never fails. Love endures all things, hopes all things, believes all things. So we're asking you this morning, is love enough?
Yeah, is love enough? That's a question. But before we actually get into it, I must appreciate Ochame Kwame and the wife. The one couple that are doing quite well together, at least from what we see. They're doing quite well together, and we encourage them to continue, keep at it. May the Lord bless their union and make them very fruitful. Then there's one other, Cartel BJ, Prioritatia. It's his birthday today, and I know you got it locked down with Sally. I pray for the two of you as well. I admire their marriage. Yeah, I was there when they tied the knot. Yeah.
Aww.
So yes.
Before we listen to the story, though, I just want to commend your rebranding that you've done this morning. From a football pundit because of a Hearts of Folk loss to an Osofo who is blessing people's marriages this morning. It's just amazing, as I always say, to watch you constantly reinvent every time something happens to you. So
whatever that means. Whatever that means.
Okay, what were you saying, my darling Israel?
Yeah, I was saying that I admire them. So these two, I admire them.
I think we also admire you.
I probably should sit down, get the two of them, Cartel BJ, Prioritatia and
then Ochame Kwame.
And Sally, and have a conversation with them.
I think that what we should do is you should get me to sit down with them, because I want to sit down with you and Louisa as well.
Okay.
And then we could all have a conversation.
We're not that couple that is in the public eye.
Yeah, but a lot of people know you both, and you've had a long 17 years. Yeah, and I remember on her birthday, you posted and you said, the wife of my youth and the love of my life. I mean, that was absolutely beautiful. And in a day and age where people just don't value the kind of love that endures as much, it's really nice to see that. So, yes, maybe we should do that, but is love enough? Is love enough? Is love
That's the question we're asking this morning. So on Relationship Friday, we're asking this very simple question. So it's on our social media handles on Facebook. Many say love conquers everything, and we also have those who say that there should be many other ingredients to make a relationship work, with money being very crucial. That's for most people. We have a story from a woman who says love is not enough, so she divorced her husband. Let's hear it.
My ex-husband very much. So much that I do virtually anything for him. I put up with many things. I saw many red flags, but I thought it would change when we marry. Unfortunately, it did not after 3 years, and I realized I had given all of me and had nothing else to give. I initiated the divorce because I wanted my sanity. I divorced him not because I did not love him enough, And not because he was unfaithful, but I realized he was not willing to bend a little to make me happy. The truth is, I still love him, but love is not enough.
All right, so that's the story that we have. Someone shared with us. We have Amos Kevinganan, convener, Creative Couples Conclaves on the show, and Ochame Kwame also joins us for this interesting discussion. Ochame will be joining us later, but we have Amos on Zoom right now. Good morning to you.
In Israel and anymore.
Hello, my wild friend. Yeah, no, I'm not going to get
What's the wild bit?
Remember the last time he was on, we had a very interesting conversation about being wild and things. You forgot it.
Okay, yeah, I thought maybe there's something else has been happening.
No.
Really?
No, should I start?
Yeah, please.
Okay, all right. Don't relax. I'll put you in trouble very soon. So good morning and welcome. And we're talking this morning about, is love enough? And Tina Turner's very famous song, What's Love Got to Do with It? What's love but a second-hand emotion? Would you agree with Tina? Or would you agree with, I think there's another song, well, Love Is All We Need to Get By. Which school of thought do you belong to?
Another says that love is the message and the message is love.
Yes, from the trees to the oceans and the heavens
That's
above.
Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, no. Is it? I don't know. Tell everybody what you tell them love is the message and the, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So which one do you belong to? What do you think?
Well, the thing is this, that love is expressed from one source and experienced at the other side. Now, each one of us would express it differently and experience it differently. And therefore, you need to grant people what they define it to be and what they want to render it to others. So I would not context anybody's view on what love is or love's importance or otherwise in a relationship. But I can interrogate what they say. That's basically what I want to do.
Okay, so neither here nor there. How important is love? How important is love, in deciding that, okay, this is the person that I want to spend my life with?
Well, thank you very much. The concept of love comes in two forms, largely. Love that is said in words and love that is shown in deeds. So if an individual is going to build a relationship with another, it's important for them to ask themselves, what is it that draws me to this person? And what is it that draws them to me? Because those are the admirable traits that the person may have exhibited, for which reason you would have gone into a relationship with them. Now, others go into relationship with other views other than they being prompted or invited by love. And so they will say that, well, I'm here for money. Others are there for status enhancement. Others are there to look at the area of finding solace in another because they feel alone and they need a company to keep. And that company is what they have. That's all they need. And so you just are in their space to grant them that solace. Others also find you as a likable character that has a peculiar way of treating people. And therefore, because they want to have that kind of experience, they get into your space. But at the heart of it all, we exchange notes and we add Cupid to it. And the Cupid that we have sent to another, or an emoji of the heart, which is pierced with an arrow, is to tell the person, I love you. Now, whatever that means, it's internalized and it is very personal to each person. And so it's important to get them to clarify. So for instance, those who are familiar with Greek mythology, for instance, will understand that when the Greeks talk about love, they're talking about at least 8 things. So those 8 things will be something you want to look at. The message that you read, the person said, I give my all, and now there's nothing left. There are people who go into a relationship and they are asking whether I love you more or you love me more. And some propositions have been made that go into a relationship with a person who loves you more than you do. And I find it quite interesting why people make such proposition, because you go into a relationship giving your best, you put your best foot forward, and you expect the other person to also put their best foot forward.
Right. You know, talking about best foot forward, some people say that, you know, relationships, and only because you raised this point about who loves who more and all of that, some people say that relationships are, you know, 50-50, you know. Some even have said that advice to women is that marry a man who loves you more than you love him. It'll make your life easier. And then some people will also quote when God was so angry with Adam and Eve, and he said to Eve that, you know, your desire will be for your husband and he will rule over you. You know, so there's a lot of different dynamics when it comes to love. But is it important who loves who more? You know, is there even such a thing as who loves who more? Or is it really just about the different seasons in life, you know, and at some point I have to hold you down, at some points you have to hold me down? What's it all about, you know?
You see, when it comes to relationship and love and how it is experienced and expressed, there's a need for us to all appreciate that it's a reciprocal gesture. So you give in order to get. The reason you are getting is because you're making an investment in that area. So there's a theory of what they call the love bank account. Now, the amount you invest or you save in the account is what you can withdraw ultimately. So if you don't put anything in there, clearly you will not be able to get anything out of it.
Yeah.
But it's important for all of us to come to a point of appreciating that. If you say you are giving 50 and reserving the other 50, what are you reserving the other 50 for should be the first thing. Some do that and then they give the other 50 to some other persons. And when you do that, whoever you are in a relationship with, they can't do the other one because there must be a mutual exchange between the parties. If you give them half-hearted love, they most likely will give you half-hearted love as well. And would you be happy if that half-hearted love is rendered to you? So it's either you don't take a sip or you drink all.
Taste deep, drink deep or taste not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's also, yes, another way of rendering it. It's important that any one of us who gets into a loving relationship makes a clear state that I'm in this for the real deal.
All right.
Somebody once said that when I was intending to marry, I had an ideal. I married an ordeal, and I'm looking for a new deal.
Kevin, here's the way I'd like to look at it. So you know there are various stages of a relationship, and love becomes necessary, or we can have the conversation about love at various points. So is love, at what point would you say love becomes necessary? When you meet someone, so you see someone and then you decide that I love this person, and so I want to be with this person. So that's when you start to date. At that point, the question of is love enough relevant at that point? Then it gets to a point where you want to get married. Is love relevant, or is love enough for the two of you to get married? And then there's yet another stage where you're in a marriage or in a relationship. Is love enough to sustain it? So I like for us to look at it at these three different stages. So first of all, is love enough for you to get to see someone and say you love the person, so you're going to be together?
Well, of course, I mean, there's a need for us to appreciate that there's love plus many other things. Okay? So if I love you but I disrespect you, why would you countenance that? If you love me, you respect me. My views are treated as sacrosanct. And so they cannot be annulled or minimalized in any way. I love you, yes, but I have an attitude. I don't take other people's comments easily. I love you, yes, but I have an issue with temper. So it is not just simply love, which we need in forming a relationship. We need love plus sacrifice plus attitudinal change plus fidelity that is promised to each other. So love plus many things. You can say you love an individual at the early stage of a relationship, but as the relationship wears on, the love will be tested.
So
it will be tested.
So let me actually ask this question too. What is love?
Love could be somebody said that love is a feeling you feel that you haven't felt before. Okay, that's somebody's definition, because I've been meeting ladies, and then he says, so I met this particular lady and I had a certain feeling I had never felt before. So I think that this could be love. Another person says that love is commitment, which is unlike any other to another person.
All right. And I would want to challenge that too by saying that these days, when people actually say, when a man actually tells a woman that I love you, they really don't mean it. What they probably mean is, I want to sleep with you.
Well, you shouldn't also forget that there are people who have a certain notion that love in some people's mind is synonymous to sex. Okay, so if I have a mindset that says love is synonymous to sex, so until I have had sex with you, then I don't love you. That's opportunism. Because you can have sex with, for a man, sex is a project. It's nothing to do with love. But for many a woman, it's a full expression of their commitment to you. So women don't joke with the issue of having sex, unless, of course, they fall the category of those who have been described or describing themselves as slaveries, because they don't really, give sex because they love you. They give sex because there's an opportunity, which is self-serving. Okay, so easy, yes, you have a point, but there are men who also will love you simply because they want to love you. Especially if they know your story. Some will love you out of empathy because they hear what you're being through already, and they don't want to add to your stress and create a difficult condition for you because they now can make allowances for you. And love can be a feeling, but it's also fidelity. So individuals must understand that it's not just a feeling, oosh ash. I call this generation oosh ash generation. And everybody wants to have this oosh ash experience, oosh ash, feelings near deep. It's all over the place, sentimentality. But there is also common sense approach to handling love. And you don't have to be reckless when you're dealing with love. Otherwise, you give in sex, and now you step back and realize there's no fidelity, and then you begin to wrestle with it because you rubbish fidelity and just run on the wheels of feelings. Now, when you marry, you realize that feelings have to be intentionally expressed. But if you're not married, it's so spontaneous.
Okay.
You see the person and it's already turning in your tummy, and you're going crazy and bonkers. You say, oh, he or she swept me off my feet. And then people get into the theory of love is blind. Love is not blind. If you're married, love is not blind. Love has its eyes wide open and can see things. So it can be a feeling, yes.
Yeah.
It's also fidelity, yes. And the fidelity is the commitment bit of love.
So having defined it, I feel we should have the conversation about love at the point, or is love enough to sustain a relationship? Because that's when
you missed one point.
It becomes
the middle point was, is love enough to then decide to marry the person?
Okay, so I think the conversation has gone beyond that because, yes, having defined and understood what the love is.
I don't feel like it's been answered.
Okay, so...
it's love enough.
Come forth.
Yes. So
it's love enough for you to want to say, I want to get married to this person.
Yeah. Do you marry somebody just because you love them? Is that enough?
I think I did say that it is love plus other things.
Yeah, what
and
other
I alluded
things?
To the fact that love plus respect, for instance.
Okay.
Love plus promise of the future, which is sustainable. For instance, if you love somebody who, when you get into marriage, you are in deficit because he's borrowing to sustain the family life, you clearly will be disoriented. You'll be disturbed. You cannot say you're going to use love to go to ECG. You can't take love to Ghana Water Company. You can't take love to a mortgage company. You can't.
Okay,
so
let me ask you
the
this
fact
question.
that I'm in love requires me to also be responsible.
Okay. Okay. I want to ask you a question. If you're, let's say you're a
Yes.
young lady and you have the option to marry, let's say 2 men. There's one that you love very much, who has maybe a lot of potential and is still, you know, growing, expressing himself and all of that. But you really love him. He's a good person. There's another one who you don't love, but who perhaps same age range has had better opportunities in life and so is more settled. You know, he respects you, he loves you, he works, he does all of that. They're pretty much on the same, what do you call it?
Scale.
Same scale, except that, you know, you love one of them, you don't love the other of them. But if you sit down and you look at it from an economic and social point of view, the one that you don't love on paper would perhaps make a more suitable or give you more security as a woman. In that case, in a case like that, do you pick love over everything else? Or in that case, the love is not enough. The other things outweigh the love that you feel. Because I think what we really want to do in this conversation is place a value on love. Like, how much value does love have in the decision to spend your life with someone?
You see, the value of love is incomparable to any other thing. All other things, you can lose them. I tell you. I've sat with countless individuals who are people who are solvent in terms of money they have. They can pay any bill. If you want to have a weekend every 3 months, they would facilitate that. But the parties in the relationship say, I don't feel loved. And anyway, you and I have had some conversations in the past on that. I've lost love for my spouse. Where did the love disappear to?
Yeah.
Some started very well, they were bubbly, they were all over, you see pictures of them all the time. Then suddenly, I said earlier that the love will be tested. And true love is always tested. And guess what? It is tested by the harshest of conditions. So I usually will propose, and I sent it to Jojo, that I have found that love comes in layers. And I have a 5-tier cake layer image, which I use to explain that to couples and would-be couples. And so it is possible for this lady to have a nightmare. Yes, I can understand her. There are bills to be paid, but there is also commitment that you need. And woe unto you if you have somebody who can pay bills, but they're not committed to you. Look, you'll have a nightmare of a time. You can get depressed. You can become potentially suicidal. And so this is my proposition, which I share with would-be couples and couples. This originally was something that, you know, as a person of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit dropped in my heart after 31 years of working with people, that these 5 tiers are seen when we are dealing with love. And sometimes people want one, but they don't want the others. But they come as a cocktail. So love is potentially risky. Why? Because you may love one, but you are not sure if they can also love you in return. And that is the endangering part of love. Then there is the enduring part of love, where it calls for hard work. Are we ready to put in the labor? Because it requires effort to make it work. I mean, my wife and I, we put in an effort to love each other. It doesn't just happen because you are nice persons, because you're professional, because you are this or that. No, it's enduring. There's a need for people to appreciate that there's an enduring component of love. There is also the endeavoring part, where the adventure. Look, I went for an adventure on Kruger National Park and had a night trail. I mean, this is the largest park in Africa, in South Africa. And I was amazed in the night when we saw animals in their live situations. It was adventurous, but it was also scary. So we endeavored to stay the way we should, so that we'll be able to enjoy what we have. So people need to understand that when I love you, endeavoring is part. The adventure will not always be a roller coaster experience. If even it's a roller coaster experience, my first experience with roller coaster was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I wish they could stop it. But it was adventurous. You know, and it was fun at a point. Then all of a sudden, it became almost like a life and death situation.
Yeah.
For me. There is also the other part, which is endearing, which connects people. And that's where people talk about chemistry, people talk about enjoyment and all that. So there's that component also that is needed in the love. It's important that people come to that point where they are willing to do that. Then love also comes at a price. It must cost you something. Some of us, because we love our spouses or we love our significant ones, there are certain places we can't go to. That's a sacrifice you're making. That's a cost you're paying. There's a price to be paid for everything. Easy. I mean, does it take no effort for you to sit on Joy News?
No, it takes a lot of effort.
A lot of effort.
Especially when Hearts of Oak loses a game and he knows that I'll give him a problem.
No, but you see, anymore, doesn't it take a lot of effort to sit with Easy on the platform?
It really does, especially again when Hearts of Oak loses.
Don't you have to adjust
no,
to
you
accommodate?
have to adjust. Yeah, you have to adjust.
Isn't it amazing that sometimes within the corporate space we're able to adjust all the things and bear many things simply because we want to achieve corporate goals.
Yes.
But because we don't have relational goals and spousal goals, we are not willing to make the adjustment. And the painful part is that sometimes it's one-sided, and that's where it hurts.
I want to ask you about.
It's reciprocal.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the enduring part.
Enduring.
Because when we started this conversation, I talked about 1 Corinthians, where the Bible says love bears all things, believes all things, endures all things, love never fails. Do you feel like a lot of people get to, and you just said, and I've actually just typed it out, that true love will be tested and often by the most harshest conditions. Do you think that for a lot of people, that point is when, they decide that it's not love? If I have to endure, then it's not love. If, I have to, work for you to go to school and so you're not at home most of the time and, I'm having to look after the little ones by myself, then it can't possibly be love anymore because I have to endure. If you make a mistake and I have to forgive you, then it's not love anymore. How quick are we to just cancel out what love is when we get to that test or that endurance part?
You see, we have to be careful when we are building relationships not to have a mind of a fair weather friendship. Relationships are tested, and the vehicles we drive nicely on our roads have inbuilt shock absorbers because they know the vehicle uses different terrains. I like to use the American president's vehicle. It's not a vehicle, it's called the Beast. And when you look at the 10 critical features of the Beast, it has all sorts of devices and ability to actually fight, turn itself into a weapon, literally. Why? Because that vehicle was constructed with danger in mind. What I don't see a lot of people, when they say they're in love, they don't forecast potential danger. They're oblivious of the potential risk element that comes with loving this individual.
Yeah.
And so there's a need for us to encourage our brothers and sisters, our friends and colleagues to understand that when you love another, there will be some things that you would endure. There will be some discomforts that will come. But that does not include disrespect. It does not include abuse. No. It does not include aggressive behavior. Those things are not part of the bouquet of love. So if you are rendering cocktail of love, enduring does not mean I'll be battering you and turning you into a punching bag. That's not love. And because unfortunately, I've had a lot of cases where young ladies are asking their friends, has your guy beaten you before? And to wait, if he hasn't beaten you before, then he doesn't love you, maybe. And for me, that's such a reprehensible and regretful posture to have. Love does not promise you pain. It does not promise you disgust. It does not treat you with disdain. Because I am of a firm belief, love must lift you. It doesn't lower you. So anybody who gives you love that lowers you, robs you of your dignity, deprives you of your meaning in life, you can't call that love. That's abuse. Let's call it that way. And so when I hear people say for better, for worse, they think that for better, for worse means that I promise to treat you worse. No, it's talking about the forecast. When I was in secondary school, there was this poetry piece that was written. It said, may your road be rough. And it says, I'm not cursing you. I'm only telling you what's ahead so that you have the resilience to be able to face it. Now, love does not promise you an easy life.
Okay, so
because it's labor.
So Kevin, you've defined love so well, and you've given us the 5 different layers that you were talking about. But I'm sure you'd appreciate that the way you've defined it, it's quite different for many people from the reality. So for most people, when they say love, they actually like, I have a liking for you. And then that's where it continues. I mean, then maybe you sleep together, then you get married, and then that's what they call love. And then at some point, then it gets tested. Or the slightest thing that comes, it shocks them. And they're like, no, I don't love you anymore. And that's where they split. So I think it's important that people get to appreciate that if you appreciate what love is, you would approach your relationship and your marriage differently from someone who doesn't actually appreciate or thinks that I'm infatuated by you and it's a liking.
Easy. You see, the thing is, what we behold, we become. So the question is, what do you feed on? It is that which you look to all the time that fills your heart and your thoughts, and it becomes what defines your value systems. So I'm not surprised the condition you describe. It's very pervasive, and that is why when I'm preparing prenups, I tell them that, listen, prepare with what a shock in mind. You know, one of the shocking experiences I had, when we got married, one night I was asleep, then my wife tapped me and said, hey, Ato,
oh. Okay.
Now, when I went to marriage counseling for 9 months, I was never told this will happen. I was never told.
That's so interesting.
Through all the marriage counseling, I was never told that in the middle of the night, my little baby would scream out of her cot and say, Daddy, I will sleep at your back when she's comfortable in the cot. I was never told. So in a loving cycle, there are things you may know, but there are things you should be prepared to discover. And some of it that you discover will be discomforting.
Yeah.
But the question is, can you have a heart large enough to accommodate the lover of your life and be willing to work at it? And for me, the point is, are we willing to work at it?
All right.
Let's not get too saturated with these sentimental things, because I know a lot of people watch telenovela, but they don't realize that these are put together by continuity directors and is made pieced together as though it is real.
And a lot of women too have watched or have read romance novels, Mills and Booms,
yes,
and
exactly. I know
and all of that.
The Mills and Booms, and
they think that's the ideal. Let's take some calls. I don't know why they focus.
Looking at you somewhere.
Yeah, I'm shocked why they focused on it.
I haven't said anything.
Let's take some calls. We have Bauer calling from one. Hello, Bauer. Hello, Bauer.
Sorry.
All right, so let's go to Frank. Do we have Frank? Okay, we've lost both of them. I think they've been on the line for a while. But yes, there's the ideal, and there's what people also believe, and there's also the reality. And people should come to my position on love is, I feel that when you meet someone, initially, the love should be basic. Yes, basic requirements, and then you get together. But you should be prepared to work on it. So as you work on it, you grow that love till it gets to a point it becomes a lot stronger. Let's take another call. We have Emmanuel on the phone now. Hello, Emmanuel.
Oh, what's happening with our phone line?
Wondering.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
But yes,
okay,
so I feel that we should grow. People should go into relationship and expect to grow it over time. So as you experience each other, encounter each other, you breathe into each other's faces and all of that. Then the more you tolerate each other, the more the love grows, I think.
Oh, that explains why
but you see, the point is that we are not changing. I mean, so swiftly or so slowly, but there is change in our lives. Now, this week I had a conversation with some men and women on midlife crisis. And I said to them, it shouldn't be crisis. It becomes crisis when one is not aware that you are in the midlife.
Well, at what age does this midlife crisis start? Because some days I feel like I'm
It's actually from age 40 thereabouts. For some, it starts from as early as 40, others from 45.
Okay, fast approaching.
To about 65. So you are not there yet anymore.
Okay.
Be at peace. It's like menopause. You know, some people are attaining menopause much earlier now.
Yes, indeed.
So
and
same
like
way, it could be that
with prostate.
It could be that hers is coming earlier.
I think it could be that we're done with this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
It's always a pleasure to have you. We look forward to having you again when we're having any one of these conversations. Thank you so much. Well, we hope we've answered the question for you. Is love enough? I think I know what I'm taking away from it. Anyways,
love is certainly not enough.
Yeah, but it's very important.
It's very important. Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, so we've heard of 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, but yeah, never 50%. Sethi Realty is offering 50% discount on their dwelling properties. Prices starting from 210,000 Ghana cedis. That's like a price of a brand new car. This offer is for a limited time and on selected units only. T's and C's apply. So if you're looking for a 2 or 3 bedroom home in a gated community, make sure you call Sethi Realty on 055-143-5555 or 055-143-8888. The numbers again, 055-143-555 or 055-143-888. Or visit them online at nyamidiagh.com. We're taking a break here on the AM show, but we're not done. Stay tuned. Right, so the next conversation we're having, it has to do with COVID-19. COVID-19 has impacted the world in a major way, and COVID-19 is still with us. It hasn't left us. We have to get used to living with COVID essentially for a long time. So what's been happening is that there's a project that is gathering the stories of doctors and nurses involved in this COVID fight. And it's by Esther Ama, who has founded this project. It's called the Black Frontline. And she's joined us in the studio this morning. Good morning to you, Esther.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you too for joining us. So this is a significant project. I'm not sure why nobody has thought about that until now, the fact that you're doing this, because the nurses and doctors have quite a story to tell.
They really do. They really, really do. And it matters that the doctors and nurses of Ghana are included when we think about the story of COVID and what has happened. All kinds of people have been affected in different ways. So I'm the executive director of the Ama Institute of Emotional Justice.
Right.
And our organization has founded this project, the Black Frontline, co-directed with Dr. Kim Gallen of COVID Black. And the aim is really very simple.
Right.
COVID happened to all of us, but we didn't all have the same experience. What has been the lived experience of doctors and nurses all over the world? So we're gathering those stories. We want 100 of them to come from doctors and nurses in Ghana. So 50 nurses, 50 doctors in Ghana.
Okay.
We're encouraging them to engage with us and share your story of what has it been like working through the COVID era. But it's not just about telling the stories. We use stories as a strategy to make structural change in the healthcare sector. President Akufo-Addo spoke specifically about strengthening the healthcare sector, expanding it. We saw the speed at which collaboration enabled us to build a medical center because there was a need. And so the doctors and the nurses are the people best placed to share with us what do we need to make the healthcare sector of the future better serve those who sacrifice every day and struggle to give us healthcare and those who they serve, the people of Ghana. And so this project is about making that happen.
So you're collating all these stories, you say from the UK, from Ghana, from the UK, from the US, and then eventually what happens to all the stories that you're collecting?
So then all the stories are gathered and they will be placed on a website, the Black Frontline website, which is a public website. That means anybody, anywhere in the world can now go and listen to a nurse or a doctor from Ghana, from the States, from the UK, sharing their experience.
So it's going to be audio-visual,
happened.
essentially?
No, it's audio. It's an oral history. So it's actually the largest oral history project of global Black doctors and nurses ever. It's the largest. And so the good thing is that all the identities are anonymous. And the reason they're anonymous is that we want those who participate to be able to be transparent and truthful.
And feel free.
And feel free to speak. And you know, sometimes we'll have to think about the institution that I'm working for, bosses, supervisors, and how they may respond to these stories. And so we want to make sure that they have the freedom to speak. So everybody from 1 to 100, you'll just be known by narrator 1, narrator 2, across all 3 territories.
What are some of the intriguing stories you've heard so far?
So powerful stories. We're actually right now gathering the stories from nurses and doctors. We had a nurse, a senior nurse in Kumasi talk about families who did not trust and believe that one family member had contracted COVID. And somebody else who lived in the same house didn't contract it. So they would come in cars and trucks and threaten the nurse who was taking care of them and say, anything happens to them, we're coming for you.
Oh no.
We're coming for you. And so we imagine the circumstances. One, the fear and the challenge of COVID itself. Then all the anger from the relatives who are scared for their loved one and see you as either the one who will save or the one who will lose if you don't save. So the pressure for those nurses and doctors, their stories haven't been told, and they must be. We must, as a nation, understand what our healthcare workers went through in dealing with this. They're still in it, but we have to understand it.
So how do the nurses and doctors bring their stories or join, participate in this?
So it's wonderful. We have a site administrator right here in Ghana. It's just on a Zoom, just audio on a Zoom. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can do it directly from your phone. It's very easy. We send you the questions in advance, so you know exactly what you're going to be asked. You can just contact us on WhatsApp. I was just about to say the WhatsApp. Can I say the WhatsApp number?
Yes, you say.
Yes. So the actual number went out of my head, so I'm going to do this number instead. So if they contact us on WhatsApp only, on 026 468 5011. So 026 468 5011. Just literally send a WhatsApp. I'm a nurse, I'm a doctor, I'm interested in the Black Frontline, and then I'll pass your details on to our site administrator who's right here in Ghana.
All right.
Who can take your stories.
Okay. Thank you very much, Esther. So as you heard Esther Ama say, if you're interested, just take down the number. The number is actually on your screen right now, 026 468 5011. Just send a message and tell them you're interested. I think you should be interested because the stories have to be out there. And the good thing about it is that it's going to be anonymous. It's just your voice. So your face isn't going to show, your name isn't going to come up, so you don't have to worry about your superiors having issues with you. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best in this project.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, stay tuned in. We're not quite done yet. We're bringing you the National Science and Maths Quiz update, and we're going to Maxwell Agogba, who is someone in the Central region. Yesterday we had some of the preliminary contests, and then today we're going to have some more. Hello, Maxwell. So what's happening today?
Well, today we have the Central Region contest. Yesterday we had a Western Region contest. Unfortunately, 2 girls' schools lost yesterday. Ahantaman girls, they lost in their contest yesterday. They scored just 10 points. Archbishop Potter girls also lost yesterday, but they still have some hope because they lost with high points. So they could still qualify for the 1/8 stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz, which will be happening. Now, 15 losing schools would get opportunity. 15 losing schools with high points would get opportunity to move on to the next stage. So we wait to see how that goes. But today, we have Infantsipim School. Infantsipim School is contesting today. Infantsipim School will be coming up against Agri Memorial SHS and then TIMR Sporting. We also have University Practice SHS coming up against Asin State College, Agona and Sabah Presby SHS, and then Guafwe Brim SHS. There's also a third contest, but all eyes will be on Infantsipim School, the two-time winners we know since 2019 after that loss.
All right, thank you very much, Maxwell Agwagba. So interesting contest to look forward to, and we'll be bringing you updates all through on the Joy News channel. Do stay tuned in. But thank you very much for joining us for the show, the AM show. Next week, Monday, we'll be back with another show. Have a wonderful day.